Are you okay? How are you dealing with your diabetes? Not making fun, but we'll be right back to discuss it. So, how are you feeling? Happy? Sad? Angry? Really mad? Did you know a lot of that can be equated to what your blood sugar is? Even diabetics who have had it for a long time still go through these mad feelings. Now, part of that is just the human emotions, but a lot of it can be equated to blood sugars and how you actually feel. I can remember years ago, and it's not so much prevalent nowadays, but in my younger days, if I had a high blood sugar, I would be, oh, someone's out to get me. Now, it wasn't so bad as to say, I've got to go see a psychiatrist about it. It was bad enough that I was really concerned and really worried about these things. But who knew? Just got to fix there. Who's bugging me? People, it's just another reason why you should try to keep your blood sugar an even keel. Another way is if you're high blood sugar, people can get you angry, and you are so angry for little simple things. And people at work would ask me a question and I'd go off on some tirade. You don't know things, and you don't know how you're going to react with your own emotions when you have extra sugar or your blood sugar is playing a role. You have to be weary of that and keep things as close to normal as possible. Blood sugars are evil things. And especially when someone is going through puberty, things go on in your mind. Now, half an hour later, your blood sugars come down, and everything's fine. And like I said, the paranoia isn't the best. And there was nothing there. Now, if you have an ongoing issue with these things, you need to maybe have a discussion with someone. But blood sugars drive your emotions. Now, no one ever told me, you have to go get that looked at. I was lucky enough at work to keep things in check. But at home, oh God. And I would bring home in my mind what happened at work and say, oh no, I'm going to get fired. I'm definitely going to get fired. Oh God, no, this is the worst thing that's going to happen. And I guess no matter what emotion, a little thought may enter your mind. And if your blood sugar is way out high, it's kind of like it fuels this. Something that if you're at normal blood sugar or close to it, you just kind of push it aside. Oh my God. Oh, I forgot to do that. Did I forget to do that? Oh, I used to hate that. And a lot of times you don't realize how it's affecting you. You don't think, oh, I have a high blood sugar, oh, that's why. But I can equate to it. And it was maybe just after lunch, and your blood sugar will go up and it will come down. But you're just so angry half the time. Oh, sorry guys. Now that would drive me crazy. Oh, I ruined the video. All because of that. So, why does this happen? Well, I'm sure there's a lot of big medical reasons. But being a brittle diabetic, you need to realize this and you need to take precautions that it doesn't happen. So, you may be high and then drop low in a second and go high again. It's those highs that you need to really be worried about. If you've caught yourself doing this, and you usually know if your blood sugar drops, and all of a sudden, things look rosy and you think you're having the greatest day, and then maybe you need to take heed of these. So, what can you do? Well, see if you can take a correction dose. Because usually when this happened to me, my blood sugars were way up there. How high? Well, over 22, maybe 27, 28, 30. For Americans, remember it's times by 18 to get what equated value would be. Oh, it was bad. But nowadays, with my roller coaster of blood sugars, I don't notice it as often. I don't feel so scared of what might happen as I used to. And I think it's because the blood sugar will only stay up there for a while, and then it'll come down. And sometimes it's a roller coaster. Now, this may not if my blood sugar's up and I feel those emotions, and then when I start to drop, I feel that a lot more. And oh, I just remembered back. And, you know, sometimes, I'd be high and, oh yeah, and I'd be having a wonderful day. Someone would come in, and I was a trainer, or head trainer, and saying, well, this trainer did this. And it's would have been saying something, well, you would need to complete this report. I would get on the phone and I would ream this person out. And then I'd have to come back and say you're sorry. But you realize you can only do that so often before, you get a reputation. Oh God, he's going to say this. He's going to blow up at us for absolutely nothing. So once I equated that I was doing this, I would tell my staff, you have a right to say, hey, I think your blood sugar's a little high. But so often we get in and we gotta get going. School, you gotta get to class. And in class or in school, you used to get not bullied, but someone would say something to you. And, it was something ridiculous. They call you a name that maybe you weren't the greatest at. Like, hey, Carrot Top. No, I never got Carrot Top, but I'm just using an example. But you know what? I think the most I had was high blood sugar when this would come into play. It's really bad, and I can remember doing it. At the time, when it first happened, I didn't know it was my blood sugars. It wasn't until I attended a diabetic daycare class. And back then, you went there either for 9 o'clock and you stayed till 4, and then there was days that you would start at 5 or 3 and go to, 10. And I would say, well, you can have these feelings and you can be high. And I started to think, yeah, these can happen. And back then I would have days where my blood sugar was pretty close. It started off, and if I had a good blood sugar in the morning, things would carry on. So if you find yourself really worried a lot of times, take your blood sugar, find out what's going on. Sorry, just somebody's walking by. Don't let things really worry you. If your blood sugar is super high, take correction. If you do blow up at them, another person, go and apologize as soon as possible. Maybe do a test to test this theory. I think we'll find that it all just plays on your mind. It's not an easy thing. And now with my blood sugars, I guess that's why, because I'm not that high, that off for that long. There were days that I'd wake up high, and people would say, "Oh, you're in a mood today." Oh, I'm not in a mood. So it's a part of it, taking care and realizing what blood sugars do to you. And if you're not a brittle diabetic and you're just a regular diabetic, take care of yourself and take correction as you need be. Use your glucometer to find out what your blood sugar is. Oh, low blood sugars. I would get angry more, but this is where, I was so angry. And sometimes at work, I would get angry, and I would have to bite my tongue, and I never knew why. But back then, I think, it was the pressures of my job. But the low blood sugar, your body's kind of looking for sugar. And when there's no sugar available, so what to do? Well, when I started to realize what was going on, people need to know that you're diabetic. Now, there's so many people that say, "Oh no, I can't tell my boss." No. Well, tell your best friend or, acquaintance at work. Don't sit there and worry about things. Sorry, your nose again. You need to be certain that you are in check. And have someone else say, "Well, I'm wondering if you're low." I can remember, now this really isn't an emotion thing, but I was at my desk just kind of rolling around, my neck hurts, and someone says, "You're acting strange. Maybe you should test your blood sugar." Oh my God, I'm fine. And there's a joke now that I keep going, I'm fine, because I'd have my arm out looking at my bracelet, and I didn't listen. Next thing I know, I was on the floor. So low blood sugars have your body searching for the sugar. So next time you realize that, people are just, I wish they'd just leave me alone about being low. Maybe you should test your blood sugar, because maybe you are low. And my mother used to constantly say to me, "Oh, are you low?" No, I'm not low. And it started to be like when I was normal blood sugar, it started to be an ongoing effect. And when I had a normal blood sugar, not too high, not too low, yeah, I'd laugh at it, but maybe it's something you need to take a look at. High or low blood sugars are vicious, but low is more dangerous. Now, that story I told, taking a look at it, I passed out at work. The fire department had to be called, and I got taken away, and so often we think we're on a giant roller coaster of emotions. And during puberty, that can be really obvious. Oh, well, yeah, he or she's going through that time. But they can be aspirated. And if you find after puberty, you're still having these fits of rage. Now, there was time, and the blood sugars go with the fit or flight, right? The fight or flight. I've either got to fight or I've got to disappear. Nico got away from me in the forest here. And he went after a dog. And, of course, Nico's going there. Oh, yeah, I want to play. And this lady started poking him with a good-sized branch. Don't you poke. For the first time in my life, I really just saw red. But what are you going to do? It was something that happened, and I think the lower blood sugar just drove it. I always thought when I was angry, it was a high blood sugar. Oh, but the low ones are bad too. And, someone was attacking a member of my family. Nico was just, hey, let's play. And this woman, and even she said, whoa. And I can remember that, thinking back, And testing, I was low. But I didn't test for a bit after, so I wonder if I was high and just the pure emotion drove my blood sugar. But it's funny, little things really can annoy you, but they don't infuriate you and get you mad. You've got to start thinking, if this had happened when I was a normal blood sugar, how would I have responded? And think back, well, why did I respond that way? I'm just thinking back to that. People, you need to take care of your blood sugar. You need to be able to try to be as normal blood sugar as possible. I kid my doctor and say, we don't say the N word. We don't say the N word. Relax. We don't say normal. We say average. Because there really isn't a normal blood sugar. Everyone runs at different blood sugars. But if you're running constantly high or constantly low, you need to know the first aid for it. That if you're getting so angry that you're seeing red, maybe that's when you need to do a blood sugar. And I never did a blood sugar. Hey guys, hands up. Can I do it? There you go. I would never equate that to being a low or the moodiness of being a high. Maybe you can now. Maybe you can learn. I do test now. And I am high. Maybe I should take a shot. Or I will test and show, maybe I'm low. That was also the time that I really made sure I had something. I would get those little cracker. And someone would say, well, I was a cashier too. And, people would come and say, well, I have a quarter. Inside of me. I didn't lash out at them. But inside of me, why can't they have the correct change? And then I knew maybe it was time to take a break. Looking back at those times, I really was never anyone's fault except my own. Little things can annoy any one of us. But it was a normal blood sugar, we let it roll off our backs. But when you're high or low, the emotions are just terrible. And think back, if you're new diabetic, think back to before you were diagnosed. Were you off the getting mad? Well, that could have been part of it. It wasn't until my 20s where I really noticed that the lows or the highs really took the toll on me. And that was the time that I really said, okay, I'm going to watch my blood sugars. And I would bring my testing kit to the office and I would take a blood sugar and I'd write it down. And there were days that I'd leave the blood testing equipment at home and say, well, that'll be fine. I'll make it through today and then I'll go. I have my lunch. And then imagine what happened. I would go high, I would go low. I would be all over the place. So sometimes, if you're brittle like me, Maybe you need to take up to 8 blood sugars, 2 hours before or 2 hours after eating. Well, maybe not 2 hours before, but before and 2 hours after you eat. I really got into that, especially when I was working. And once I really stopped the ups and downs so quickly, for a while anyway, it's come back. Now, if your blood sugar's up or down, maybe you should check. You could say simple things. Well, I'll let you know later. But don't fly off the handle. Try to control. I know it's hard, but a lot of times it can save your life. Now, if you're a young person just getting diabetes, your emotions can be amplified. But just remember, emotions really do play a role in your diabetes. God, I wish I knew that back then. And, it took a few years in order for me to realize that. And I can remember back when I worked into a store, and the boss was always in the back doing figures, and I'd be running the outside, and I'd be ringing things in, and I'd say, "Oh, it's getting to lunchtime. Oh, I wish he'd come out. I wish he'd come out." And I'd get worked up in such an emotion. And now, I'd say, well, why didn't I just go knock on the door, say, "Listen, I've got to have something to eat. Can I go quickly eat and come back?" Any manager would say, "Yeah, that's fine." But I was just so worried, oh well, that person was able to do the shift and they didn't get lunch till after 1. There were times I would go and I'd lay out the money on the counter and I would grab a sandwich and start eating it. Because I had to eat. But, you're not thinking correctly. Not only your emotions play a role, but you know what? Your brain needs the sugar. And, I would sit there and worry about it. And sometimes I would really think, oh, well, he or she is taking an awful long time. Oh, now, it wasn't so bad when I was working nights. Though some days dragging on. And I'd be a clock watcher. But on days where, blood sugars were semi-okay, oh yeah, get things done. Everything was looking great. By 4:30, I worked graveyards back then. At 4:30 in the morning, everything was done. The place looked great. And then the rush would come. And I took things in control, and boom, everything was done really quickly. So see how your blood sugars are playing a role. At home, if everyone seems to be on your back and they're really getting, I wish they'd leave me alone type thing, you need to be aware of this and take appropriate action. Don't let things go crazy. Now, if you're not driving your blood sugars and you're finding these things are happening, it's not your fault. Because so much is going on, especially if you're in the young adolescence age or you're moving on into early adulthood. You know, your body's changing, adrenaline could be rolling. All this plays a role. Just try to catch it. Just try to realize it's going to be difficult. But if you found that you do a test and you realize, oh, I'm low, and eat something, and then think about just before what emotions were playing a role with you. Anyway, have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye now.